For years, UFC games have felt close to greatness, but never felt quite complete. But EA Sports UFC 6 is on the horizon, and could this be the game that changes that? Based off some of the early looks in the graphics that have been displayed, this could be the game that finally changes everything. Welcome everybody to Reality Booking, your home for UFC simulations, our Ultimate Event Mode series, and combat sports storytelling. Now before we get into how EA Sports UFC 6 could change things, we got to talk about where the UFC games currently stand, and it's to nobody's secret that the games have felt a little stale in recent years with UFC 5, UFC 4. A lot of people think UFC 3 is one of the better iterations of this game. That's not even including the pre-EA Sports UFC games with Undisputed 3, which is one of my personal favorites. But there's been a lot of things that people have complained about, a lot of gripes with EA Sports and their decision-making with the UFC, whether it's been the stale presentation, not a lot of immersiveness going on. I mean, just even from the gameplay you can see on the screen, there is some areas of the gameplay that definitely leave a lot to be desired, especially, in my opinion, when the fight goes to the ground. I do believe that is where UFC needs the most work. It seems like when it's on the ground, it's just a lot of animations. It doesn't play out a lot like you see in real life with how people really try to scramble and fight on the ground. Specifically the scrambling, I feel like the scrambling leaves a lot to be desired. I'm not much of a career mode or online sort of person, so I can't really speak to those realms, but I do believe EA Sports UFC games have not had the best career modes. I feel like they've felt a little bit repetitive in that regard, so I'd like to see that be a little bit better. So there's definitely areas where the UFC could work on. Graphics is always something. I mean, these games do come out every 3 years, so you do have to cut them a little bit of slack in that regard, but just fighters looking more like fighters, specific fighters playing more like specific fighters, giving everybody some unique personality would be nice. So there are a lot of ways that the EA Sports UFC games do have some problems, but that's where UFC 6 comes to the plate, because if you look at what this game could become, this could be the best UFC game in the series. I mean, if you just look at the visuals that were put out, this game looks better. I don't think you can deny the fact that this game does look a lot better than UFC 5. I mean, Max Holloway looks really good. I know he's on the cover. Alex Poatan Pereira looks good. The visuals do look pretty stunning, in my opinion. If they play into those, then that's just going to be a good game to look at, which does make it easier on the eyes. Also, they've said they put a lot into making the fighters play like actual fighters, which is just the point that I just touched on. That also creates some immersion. I mean, if I'm playing as Max Holloway, and it feels like I'm playing as Max Holloway, that's going to make it seem that much more appealing to the audience and just make it feel like I'm actually watching or playing a real UFC fight. They said they've done a lot with the stand-up game that was on display in the trailer, if you go ahead and watch that. I am a little skeptical about how this plays into the ground game. They didn't touch a ton on the mats, but I'll stay hopeful because this game could do better. And it seems like there's a lot of stuff post-launch as well. They touched on it for the first time. A Max Holloway playthrough seems to be in the works. This is something that WWE 2K does every year. They did it with CM Punk this past year. I'm glad that EA Sports seems to be tapping into that with Max Holloway because he has a plethora of fun fights he could go play through. Conor McGregor from his early career. We saw those two in the trailer. Especially if you get like an old school look of Conor McGregor, pre-tattoos, that would be pretty cool. And then you also have the Justin Gaethje knockout at UFC 300, Holloway's trilogy against Volkanovski. I know he didn't win those, but those would be fun to play as well. You have him knocking off Jose Aldo, who was at the time the best featherweight in the world. It just seems like it'd be a fun playthrough, relive some of those big moments, and give just another dimension to this game in terms of something to do. If the career mode needs to be more immersive, then this game could also hit that next level if they really do make an immersive career mode. But if I had to only pick one feature that I feel like EA Sports UFC 6 needs, in my personal opinion, I think it'd be cool to have some sort of custom rankings graphic. And no, I'm not talking about like what you see on the screen, where these are the top 5 fighters in the game in terms of their rating. No, it'd be cool to have like in real life UFC rankings where you can see players and fighters move up and down, and sort of add it and customize it yourself as well. If I feel like a fighter should move up a little bit higher, then I can personally do that. And I feel like this would be a really cool graphic to add to the event mode series in EA Sports UFC. Make the event mode creator something that's actually building upon each other. And I'm trying to use the word universe mode like WWE 2K, but make it actually intertwined. If I want to create more than one event and have them go together, why not? And I feel like having a ranking system would help in that regard. Right now I do one myself. Here's an example of a spreadsheet that I have that shows where fighters are. This is actually what the welterweight division looks like in the post UFC 328 video in our series. But it'd be cool to have something like this, maybe just a little screenshot of the fighter, show like red and green for who's going up, who's going down, stuff like that, and make it feel like an actual sports, kind of like college football does it with their rankings. I feel like that'd be really cool to have maybe even some sort of, big poster as well, some sort of just cool little graphic when you start a new event, highlighting maybe the main events and the co-main events or any title fights on the card. But I feel like that'd be pretty cool to have, and I feel like for me, that's the biggest feature that would make the immersion just so much more than where it's currently at. Now, how do I plan on using EA Sports UFC 6 here on the channel? This might be the part where that gets a little bit more in depth, but this is where I want to really grow. I want this channel to become a MMA focused on the channel, and I think UFC 6 could be that. And I have a lot of big ideas that I want to execute on this channel. One, I want to continue our event mode series, just basically almost like WWE 2K Universe mode, where we build our own cards, we build our own universe, build our own champions, stuff like that. That is going to be the premier series. We have a video actually going up tomorrow on the channel with our next fight night, and it's Sterling versus Silva in the featherweight division. It's a fight that I feel like we made. That makes a lot of sense where the fighters currently stand, and it'd be interesting to see where it plays out. I mean, we just had UFC 328 last week, and then we crowned a new interim welterweight champion in Carlos Prates, and we crowned a new flyweight champion in Tetsuro Taira. It's not how it played out in real life, but this is our series, and that's what I want to be the flagship going forward. Also want to have some fun, do some fantasy cards as well, maybe book the fights that did not happen. Maybe Alex Pereira versus John Jones, the rumored main event of UFC's White House at one point. Maybe do that, have a couple of fantasy matches, maybe some what-if alternate timelines, have some ideas cooked up, maybe like, what if Habib never retired in the lightweight division? But stuff like that I want to mix in as well, just have some fun. And of course, I do want to try out career mode once EA Sports UFC 6 hits, something I've never done before, and just have some fun with it, experience it for the first time. But that is my goal going forward for this channel going into EA Sports UFC 6, and I feel like this could be the best EA Sports UFC yet if it's executed to perfection. But that's all I have time for you guys today. UFC 6 is going to be just the beginning here on this channel, and I can't wait to bring it to you guys. We will be getting the early access version of the game as well, and I do want to get it right before the big UFC White House card, so I feel like it should be a good time. UFC 6 could be the beginning of a completely new era of UFC gaming, and when it drops, it's going to take place right here on Reality Booking, so you might as well like and subscribe so you don't miss it. But that's all I have time for you in this video. I'll see you in the next one.